Hello and welcome. It is 6 o'clock on the 6 o'clock club. It is Wednesday night, I believe, anyway. I have to convince myself of what day or date it is. And I didn't discuss this with Kristian, but I'm sure he knows. It is the Ides of March today.
Indeed, it is. Yes.
So an
Beware.
interesting beware the Ides of March because traditionally, supposedly bad things happen, but I think unlike kind of the Friday the 13th type thing, that is basically based around the fact that a certain assassination happened back in Roman times. But quite funnily as well, it also sort of marks the day that all of the debts had to be settled in Rome. So
Okay.
I've got a feeling that that is also the one of the reasons why it's kind of like bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, traditionally back in the times of Rome, it was like the 74th day of the Roman calendar, which now equates to the 15th of March.
Yeah. The Julian calendar, or well, not
Yeah.
the pre-Julian calendar, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really do history. Rachel did history. I did computer science, so I could tell you about computers.
Yeah.
Um.
But I just thought I'd throw that in there as a little bit of
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Wow.
Caesar got
You come here and
assassinated.
you learn.
Absolutely. But
You
beware the
learn
Ides of
about.
March. It is the
Yeah.
15th. Has anything bad happened to you today? Have you had to settle any debts?
Cool. Good grief. No. 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 I mean, bad things
Good.
never happen to me.
Good.
Bad things happen around me, but not to me. No, it's been a good day. It's been a good day. I've sorted a lot of things out. So yes, I'm feeling organized right now, which is a very rare feeling for me.
Excellent stuff. And if you are in chat and you want to share any of your Ides of March day with us, shout up. We'll be monitoring it.
Well,
In the mean,
something great has happened today, actually.
yep.
Just because I'm looking in chat right now, we've
Oh
got
yeah, yeah, of
Kyle and Matt.
course.
But congratulations, Matt, on
Mm,
300% funding on your Kickstarter. It's Remnants is now 300% funding. It's £1,593. That is amazing. So congratulations, Matt.
yeah, well done, Matt. I can't wait for it
I have
to.
bought my playing cards.
You've got your playing cards. I'm
They are
always,
they are arriving tomorrow.
yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to having a look at it as well. And once it's out, we'll show everybody about it. But incredible, 300% funded is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for it to come. I can't wait for us to have a proper look at it on stream. I might even play it on stream. So a solo
Ooh.
journal. So it might be pre-records rather than live because I don't know. I'm just throwing
Because you
ideas
might get
out.
writer's block.
Yeah, yeah. Quite as often happens, or I'll just go off on a tangent or whatever. But yeah, a big shout out. Well done, Matt. A very, very a big congratulations to you. We are going to chat about something that Matt was also involved in, which is last
Yes.
night's game. Um, for those of you who are unaware, last night we did a live stream. There was Matt, there was Kristian. We were joined by Adam and Charlie, the designer of the system we played, very generously volunteered his time to take over Twisted Narratives channel and run us a one shot with the rule set Shiver, and it was called Giggles Funhouse. And I don't know, how did you find it, Kristian?
Oh, it was fantastic. So it right from the start when it was mentioned that it was it was set in 1982 and it was a teen sort of slasher horror because it's a horror themed game, hence the name Shiver. And it had this very teen slasher vibe, and I've seen a lot of those films. And we were sort of four misfit teens that were trying to get an invite to a party. Um, and it was us having to go into Google's Funhouse and get his red nose and get out again. And then if we did that for this Monica, that was the most popular girl in the school, we get an invite to the party. And about halfway through, we realised we probably could have gone to the local pound shop or dollar store and got a red nose, which was funny. But yeah, we went in the carnival. Good thing, nothing but good things happened. And if you watched it live, then do not spoil it for anybody that hasn't watched it yet. It was a lot of fun. It was really the interactions between the characters were great. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed Wires' motivations to go and take apart the stereo at the party.
Yep.
That made me laugh quite a lot. And the interactions between my character Snivels and Andy's character Eddie, with a lot of antagonism there because it started to evolve. I mean, I got acid in the face, and my character, as was explained to Andy earlier, my character, I thought of him a lot as being like Benny from The Mummy, where it's this really horrible, sniveling, conniving character that will push anyone out of the way to survive. I'm actually disappointed that I didn't die. I kind of really hoped that my character would have died, or maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But no, I really hope my character would have died. But yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, go and watch it. It was a load of fun. Charlie was excellent director, put a really good story in front of us. Adam was great fun to play with, and as always, it's a lot of fun to play with Andy, and it's a lot of fun to play with Matt. So it was a great evening all around. What did you think, Andy? How did you find the system?
That was brilliant. I had a real blast. I mean, I love that period. It was a renaissance for me. So it took me back to the 80s anyway. Not that I visited any slasher fun houses, but just that era. It was a very interesting era because there was a lot of very strong, and I don't think it was even called pop culture then, but pop culture coming out. But there was no spoilers. There was no internet. Magazines that carried reviews of either comics or movies or whatever, they tended to come out a month after the movie did. Um, so you'd go and see some of these movies, and you would hear a little bit of a buzz about it. You would uh, be somewhat aware of it, but you wouldn't really know what was going to happen. So you'd be on the edge of the seat, sort of, just wondering what
Yeah,
was going on.
yeah,
Same with sort of comic books, and I was playing a character that was very invested in that
very
kind of
good
culture.
knowledge. Yeah, very
Um,
good comic book knowledge.
um, but I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark come out, Escape from New York had just come out. It was just like this fantastic era
Yeah,
of
yeah,
sort of movie stuff. So it was really nice to just revisit that, regardless of the of the horror that was going on about us. Um, and it was brilliantly run. Charlie voice acting, Charlie's direction, Charlie's moving the scene on was just outstanding. It was
yeah,
paced really, really nicely. The interaction between all the characters was very cool, and I'm quite pleased that we were sort of set up to be a group of individual outcasts that have come together to
yeah.
complete this, and we weren't all sort of best buddies and everything else, and
No,
that
we definitely weren't the Breakfast Club.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the
More the
breakfast.
bottomless brunch club.
Well, the Breakfast Club, they started out in detention. If I'm not sure what the Americans call it, but
Detention, I think.
yeah, yeah. But they didn't know each other. They,
No,
they they were individuals that were brought together because of this reason. And you had a jock, and you had an emo, and you had the weird one, and you had the I suppose the prom queen sort of character, and they were all sort of sat at different desks at the
yeah,
start, and of course through that period they came together. Um,
I will admit I've not seen the Breakfast
yeah,
Club.
yeah. I mean,
A lot of those Americana films
yeah,
just
yeah,
just pass me by,
yeah.
pass me straight by.
And again, I don't know. I would have to go back and watch it. It might have just been of that age. It might have just caught me when I was of a certain age as well. Um, But no, it was really nice for our characters to be like that. That we kind of were aware of each other, but hadn't really interacted during
Yeah,
high school, and
yeah,
then we were forced to sort of either work together or not, really. So that was a very interesting sort of premise as well. Um, uh, Sort of out of character, it was a very interesting system to try and get your head round in terms of genre.
yeah,
And I kind of mentioned this a little bit off screen. It wasn't challenging. It was actually quite interesting to sort of try and work out how your character relates to things. Um, is this just an old man with a rubber mask on pretending to be a killer clown,
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of Scooby Doo esque? And should we like take him down?
yeah.
Or is this some kind of nightmare creature that is, haunting and, you aren't going to be able to handle or deal
No,
with?
no, you can't reason with it. You can't kill it because when you
Yeah,
try and kill it, it's going to get up again. That Michael Myers, that
yeah, yeah,
supernatural thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Well, we won't reveal which one he was, again, because you might not have seen it yet.
Yep.
But I, yeah, I completely agree there. Yeah, it there was an assumption and a hope that it would be one kind of thing.
Hmm.
But as you say, with the system, it really could have gone anywhere.
Yeah. So I found that sort of challenging and interesting at the same time of me sort of stepping back from my character and going, how would this? I'm not quite sure how old we should have been because we were just leaving high
About
school.
18, I
Yeah,
think.
sort of
I
eight.
think it's 18.
Yeah, yeah. Because the American education system is slightly older, I think. So
Yes.
how would this 18-year-old sort of act in that? He's obviously scared, um, but it's that fight or fight a
Yeah.
sort of syndrome really, and I kind of enjoyed that challenge as well. Because
Mm.
even in the most fantastical of games, I kind of like my realism. I
Yeah.
kind of like, if you see something in a movie that just, it's like, why did he do that? Is it just did that for story reasons rather than
Yeah.
because it kind of makes any sense? And I did feel like I was in a movie at times, which was
Yeah. That
very,
was a
very
really good
awesome as well.
feeling. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't really get to ask you this after Blades in the Dark, and I wanted to, because now you've been a player in 2 games
Hmm.
recently. So, how do you feel as a player? I mean, for being a GM for such a long time. Like I said the last time you played was in my game, and that
Yeah,
was that was back in the shop in about 2014. So, how does it feel being a player again?
yeah. I mean, I enjoy it without a doubt. And it's most definitely an awful lot less work for me. So that is like a
Very
five
nice,
star
nice.
reason for it in the fact that I did pages of research for Eddie, and I really thought quite heavily about um, sort of barking larking. But I
Mm,
enjoy that anyway. That's
yeah,
that's not work. And to be fair, I did do quite a lot of work on doing the stream setup and all of that kind of stuff. But what I didn't have to do is kind of write the scenario, work out the
yeah,
scenario, and that is a considerable amount of work and quite a challenge as well. As I mentioned with the Tales from the Smoke Cthulhu game, there was a substantially larger amount of work that went into
yeah,
that went to
yeah,
either
yeah,
Blades in the Dark or Shiver for me. Um, so it's great. So if anybody wants to GM and feels up for the challenge, send me a DM and I'll add you to the list. Absolutely. I love GMing. Um, as actually a player in a game, um, I find myself having to hold myself back
yeah,
because I mean, it's everybody's table without a doubt, but the GM is there for a purpose,
yep.
and you don't want to be a co-gem. You don't want to be
No,
trying
no,
to do something that the gem doesn't like. And I did do something in last night's game, but I tried to make it as transparent and as is this okay
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
situation. And I sort of raised my hand and I kind of
Yeah.
gently explained, would this add to a scene?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, if I was a GM, I wouldn't mind that at all if the players kind of approached it in the way that I did,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's like, no, that's an awesome idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's. I'm not saying my idea was awesome, but
No, no.
if a
But
player
you are
comes to
though.
me, well, if a player comes to me and goes, and it was all after the fact as well, so it wasn't like I'd like to do this and it's going to impact this. It
Yeah.
was more of a retro. I would like. Is it possible for this to be the reason of what's just happened?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. 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 And I think when you approach it with, and it's a, the term you mentioned a lot, narrative agency,
yeah,
is in some cases you can say, this thing's happening. May I add to it? May I
yeah,
enhance
yeah,
it? Can I have some narrative agency to do this, please?
yeah,
And when I think certainly it shows when I have a player saying what they want to do, that it's great because it means that they're engaging in the world, and it's a bit different than they go, well, actually, I'd like all kobolds to now have
yeah,
blue heads, and baseball bats that sing the Marseillaise. That's kind of like, who are you? Why did you find your way into my game? But yeah, it's a lot of fun because then you can all sort of go, yeah, that's a really cool area, as you say,
yeah,
and everyone can get behind it. And it was a lot of fun last night to have that sort of thing.
yeah.
Again, I think actually you had two moments where this has
Right.
happened,
Yeah.
and both of them were a lot of fun because they enhanced it.
Mhm.
One of them had a negative effect on me, but it was a lot of fun because it created that
Mhm.
wonderful interaction between our characters, and widened the gap a little bit, and
Yeah.
it was really good. It was really, really good. I mean, you're right, when you're a GM and you play, because I found this because I was a forever GM until I joined the Twisted Narrative server a couple of years ago and started playing in the Sunday Eberron game.
Yeah.
The first thing, well, one thing, the benefit I have is I don't think I know the rules. So I've always been quite happy that I'm never going to try and overrule you on the rules because
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, there is that kind of, you have that compulsion to fill the gap
Yeah.
at times, and you think someone should be talking here. And I do find, certainly when I'm a player, I do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
I try and marshal everybody together and say, hey, there's plot here. Let's grab onto that plot for dear life because Andy or whomever's put it in front of us, and that's where I'd like to go. And I think that's quite yeah. It does sometimes come at a detriment of your own character's development, but yeah, I think it does help, and I do like it when my players um, latch onto the plot I've put in front of me.
Yeah. No, 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 absolutely. But I think, as a GM who becomes a player, I'm kind of aware that I want space for the other players to be able to do
Yeah,
stuff. Probably compensating for that, maybe too much. So, um, I always are happy to be the last person to go, or to not get the last word, but kind of wait till everybody's kind of run out of steam, and then
yeah,
perhaps say something. So I don't know. I'd be interested for people who go and watch these live streams with me as a player, whether they think I'm too talky, not enough talky, what they'd like to see from me, what they wouldn't like to see from me. Because
well, you're going to be a
uh,
player again soon, so
yeah, yeah. For people who are not aware, Christian has volunteered to do another Blades game, which is, I think, April now. Is that
yep,
right?
in
Um,
April, yep. So
so yeah, I'm, again, super looking forward to it. I'm never opposed to playing people's games, and I'm not the kind of person or GM that doesn't want other GMs to show off their wonderful skills, because uh, we're all in it to have fun, and there are some incredibly incredibly talented GMs out there, and I think this is one of the reasons, and I've always said this, I hate that term professional GM. I mean, I kind of understand it on a financial level, as in
Yeah.
a professional earns money from what they do.
Yes.
So then,
Yeah.
but I think there's also a little bit of a stigma that a professional is at the height of their game, and you know, I'm not saying that I don't think I, I I'm I'm a bad GM. I think I'm quite capable. I think people come back for more, so people must
Yeah.
enjoy it. But what I'm trying to say is there are other amazing GMs out there that don't do it for money, whether they do
Yeah.
it around their kitchen table or just whatever. Um, and that's kind of why I don't like it, because it kind of I, I, I don't like to, certainly with jamming, be put on a pedestal, and it sometimes
Yeah.
feels like that. Um,
Yeah. I can understand that.
not when there's great gems out there that don't do it for money, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the reasons for calling this the club, one of the reasons for getting other people to come in and GM, is to show that we have got all of these wonderful talents, Um,
And me.
no, no. As I said before, absolutely amazing to have you as a co-host and a GM and a player as well. Um, Absolutely amazing. So, seriously, if you are a GM, if you are a player and you want to do some live stream stuff, let me know. Get in touch via a Discord, send me a DM, and we can talk. We can
'Cause it's a
talk.
lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's nerve wracking right before you start, but then you kind of forget that you're GMing to an audience, and then you're just GMing to a group of people, which is good.
Mhm.
Um, but then it's one of the things, really. I mean, we were talking about this the other day. There is that element of you when it's for we are live streaming. Or we these are actual plays that are going out there, and there is an element of I said this about myself. The moment the camera's on, I feel a little bit more like I'm on, and I've got to perform a little bit, and all my characters are very similar. As I said to you earlier, I do struggle with characters that aren't irreverent in some way, shape, or form. I don't think I don't think I can ever play a very serious character. I would try, and I want to. I really want to try. I just don't think I can. But I think it that kind of there's that balance between remembering that you're on YouTube, and also remembering you're at players around a table that actually want to role play and get on and have a good game. There's kind of a fine balance there
Yeah,
of content to fun.
absolutely. And like for your game and for Charlie's game, I deliberately chose a character that was a team player. Um,
Yes.
Once you've got your legs underneath the GMing table, you wait till I don't play a team player.
But that's the thing. Like
I don't want to get
I
typecast.
no, I mean I would say with Iron Bar in the Eberron game and with Francois, despite Francois being what he is, I I, I consider both of those to be team players. Iron Bar is always he's affable. And
Hmm.
I'm trying to make my character in the Eberron game affable and likable and brings everyone together and accepts everyone and loves everyone. And that was another reason why last night I wanted to play a guy that was an absolute
Yeah,
goit, because I don't get to play an absolute goit at times, and it was a lot of fun. Um, but it was like this guy. If I'd met him at school, I he probably I probably would hate him,
mm,
and I probably would end up in the same friendship group as him, but I would still hate him. Yeah. No, I
yeah,
didn't like the guy I played last night, but I loved him.
yeah. I think that's also sort of fun. Moving on a little bit, we added an extra dimension to the stream
Mm.
last night. For those of you who watched it, we managed to get dice to roll across the stream when we made dice rolls. Let us know what you think. Did you like that? Did you like seeing the dice dice roll. We kind of felt with Shiver, because Shiver use thematic dice rather than sort of normal polyhedral dice with numbers on. They use symbols instead, and it might have been a little bit difficult for those of you who are not familiar with Shiver to kind of follow it, but it was more to give you an idea of, look at these cool crazy images on the dice. So it's not so much a question about the Shiver dice, but did you like that app? Would you like to see more of it in Blades of the Dark or My Cthulhu, or certainly Shadow Dark, which we'll come on to in a minute? What was your impressions, Kristian?
I thought it was really, really good. So much so that I'm now looking at seeing if I can use it for all my games
Yeah,
where I'm not using a VTT, because it's such a powerful tool. It's D dice,
yeah,
and I really, really think that it can enhance a stream, because it lets everyone know what you're rolling, and what you can change it. You can change the dice you're using. You can change a lot of things about it. So I was looking at it for some of the things we've got coming up. So like we're doing feng shui, and in feng shui you need 2 different colored dice. Well, this allows you to have 2 different colored d6 and roll them at the same time and see what they are, and it just really helps, and it really makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do for it. I'd like to try using it for Blades in the Dark,
yeah.
if people liked it. It was it seems like a really, really good tool.
It was simple to use as well as a player, I think. And with me, with minimal tech skills, it took me literally 5 minutes to set it up on the stream. So it's not a hassle to do, if you know what I mean. That said, that was yesterday. If I try and do it in a week's time, who knows whether I can remember how to do it or not. But that is a next week problem, or the week after problem, or the week after that problem.
I mean, again, we've said it before, but you profess that it's you struggle with the tech, but look at all the wonderful things you've done. Look at all the brilliant stuff we've got here, all the live streams, the backgrounds we've got, everything, all these wonderful graphics that sort of
Well,
Elsa helped you make.
Elsa, yeah,
And
a big
yeah,
shout out
yeah,
to
yeah,
Elsa as well.
massive shout out to Elsa. But all this stuff you've put together, I think you deserve quite a lot of credit for that, Andy.
Well, it's a case of needs must, I think, where it's just like, if we're going to push things forward, I better just get on with it and see what I can do.
Oh, just accept the compliment.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah,
As bad as
so
me.
the dice was great, and I think Charlie and Adam, who works for Shiver as well, had such a blast that they should be back. So we might see even Charlie as a player, and me being like terrified and high on anxiety of running a game for the person that wrote it. I mean, if there's
Yeah.
how terrifying is that? But oops,
Oh,
my camera.
up we go.
Yeah, my camera.
Oh no, it's turning into Blake 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even my camera was retracting from that thought. But you know, I'm certainly up for the challenge, and if not, it'd be really good for Charlie to come and run some more games, and Adam.
Yeah.
They're both very skilled GMs and writers.
I think I've said it before, but Charlie really did seem to enjoy himself, and for me, it's such a delight when the GM is in. You can see the GM's enjoying themselves, the director, or whoever, whatever you want to call it. You can see all the players at the time are enjoying themselves. It's when you feel like you're in something special, a really special game. And I did last night feel like I was part of something special. And I will apologize. I my character, as Kara's pointed out, my guy was a jerk.
Yeah.
And I deliberately made him a jerk.
Yeah. There's no need to apologise.
But I did hate it. I absolutely hated it because I was like, oh my goodness, this is the sort of person I really despise.
Yeah. Um,
I don't often get to be a jerk because I don't want to.
yeah. But it's important for character dynamics to
Mm,
sometimes have that fly in the ointment. So
mm.
don't apologise for it.
I, I mean, it's that again. It's that Benny character, the guy that everyone wants to die. And
Yeah.
yes,
And I know that we gave him a little bit of a mention at the start of this, but Matt was
yeah,
there as Wires as well,
yeah.
and
Oh, I loved Wires.
yeah, no, absolutely, and I want to say a big thank you to Matt for taking
Mm,
part as well, because he brought a lot to the game.
yeah.
It was substantially more subtle, but it was very skilled, and sometimes subtle is the harder
Mm.
of the things to do. You can over dramatize. You can be larger than life quite easily, but by
What, are you trying to say I'm hammy?
well,
I am hammy.
but doing that subtlety is very good. And there was a few
Mm,
things that he did I thought was absolutely marvelous. So
yeah.
big shout out to you, Matt, as well. Hopefully we will have you back on doing some stuff soon as well. Um, so I think we've covered Shiver really. We've done the dice.
Mm,
If you haven't watched it, it will be in the link below. You can click on that. It's on video on demand now. It's about 3.5 hours long, so just enjoy it for what it is, really. It's a great little horror story set in
mm.
1982, taking me back to, I wouldn't say my childhood, but my early adulthood. And there's quite a lot of Eddie in me, I have to say. And no, I haven't grown up yet.
Mm. I wasn't born in 1982, so sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to apologise for not being born in '82. You missed a lot of really cool stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So what am I left with now? Thanks.
um, so we said congratulations to Matt for his Kickstarter. We have covered last night's stream, and we might be a little over enthusiastic about it because we had such a great time. But genuinely, if you like the sound of it, please go and have a watch.
Mm,
Um, and if you've already watched it, let us know what you thought of it. A like is really appreciated, a sub is really appreciated. But what also we would really like from you is not necessarily a critique, but wow, yeah, I really
Money?
love
Oh,
this.
sorry.
But I do need to eat as well. We really like this. We wasn't so sure about that. Um, you know, whether you prefer to see one shots or prefer to see like a more campaign type game, sort of go ahead, etc., etc. Really, just let us know your thoughts. I suppose we are a club; we're all in it together, and the only way that we can improve is by seeing what you want, and we can tailor uh, the uh, the streams to your tastes, basically. Um, so I want to talk about my obsession. Still my obsession. I do tend to get obsessed with things and then forget about them, become obsessed with other things. But this hasn't worn off for a week or two, which is
Mm,
Shadow Dark. I know I've mentioned
indeed.
it before. I am going live at about 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm going to be taking an in-depth peek at the quick start rules of Shadow Dark. It's a new sort of fantasy role-play game that blends the old school feel with modern mechanics, and that kind of sounds kind of strange, or but you'll see what I mean, and I'll give you all of my thoughts about that from 7 o'clock onwards. I'm literally going to get the quick start rules split into two. It's players and it's game masters, and I'm going to start reading and uh, giving you my opinions and comments and kind of trying to explain why I am currently obsessed by this. It's on Kickstarter at the moment for the full book. The quick start rules are free. You can go to their website download it completely free. But it had I think a $10,000
Wow.
goal
Yeah.
to hit, and it has achieved over $70,000 so far.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
no, $700,000.
Oh,
Seven hundred thousand dollars.
it's a
It's
little better.
it's close. It's close to $1 million kickstart.
Wow, that's really amazing.
I mean, I genuinely hope they get that
Yeah, yeah,
just so they can say. I mean, they funded. They were going for 10. They've got 700.
yeah.
But again, sort of living through the experience of fourth edition Dungeons and Dragons, creating Pathfinder, I think we are about to see, and it sounds really strange, but another player, Arcane
Hmm.
Library, um, um, the, the company that is behind
Yeah,
sort of publishing it. I don't think they was expecting it to be anywhere near as massive immediately as it is.
yeah.
Um, but it's very good, and it's very adaptable to one's needs.
So,
Um,
what do you think has kind of stoked the fires of this renaissance for old school style
well,
RPGs? Because
I,
there's quite a lot of them around at
yeah,
the
yeah,
moment.
yeah. I mean,
Because it can't be critical. I don't think it could be Critical Role, could it? Because that's not really that's fifth edition and that sort of thing. So,
yeah.
what do you think's done it?
You see, the real either genius or craziness of Shadow Dark is it's not old school.
No, no, no. But the
No, 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 no.
theming.
Yeah, but I mean, this is it. It's very clever. It's not gone. Oh, back in the day when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons in 1982, like me, we had Thaco, and it was really good because if you wanted to be a bard, you had to be a rogue, and then a wizard, and then a fighter, and then get levels in all of that to become. It's nothing like that. But back then, and it's not rose tinted glasses, you kind of had your characters and you went down in a dungeon, and it was like, are we going to survive today in this game?
Yeah,
Are we? And it's not like, oh, the dungeon master's going to kill us. You literally felt that your characters, everything that you did kind of mattered, and um, it was a roller coaster ride. There was a sort of real feel of danger around every corner, whether there was or wasn't. That was the skill of the dungeon master. Um, and it's got that real feel. It's got that feel that, you know, in the next 3 hours anything could happen.
mm,
Um, and it was joyful. It was really joyful, and sort of generating characters didn't take you forever. There was no real computers back then
yeah,
to go on your D&D Beyonds or your other sort of character generators and cherry pick and choose and help you generate a character. Because you imagine without those tools how challenging it would be to
mm,
have all of the books, whether it's Pathfinder or whether
yeah,
it's Fifth
yeah,
Ed, or this is definitely not a dig at fifth edition or anything else. But you imagine having all of this information available, but just in book formats,
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
then going right. I want to create a character, and I have to. It would take a substantial amount of time, whereas sort of back in the day, you went, well, we've got the six stats, we roll 3d6 for each stat. If your
yeah.
DM was really generous, he'd allow you then to put the rolls where you wanted them to, rather than you just
Right.
roll them in order and
In
go, oh,
order.
oh
Yeah,
I wanted to play a fighter, but I'm not entirely sure a seven strength is going to do it.
yeah,
um, and then you chose your ancestry or race, as it was called then. You chose your class.
yeah.
You kind of rolled for your money. You spent that, and you spent it very, very rapidly. Some armor, a sword, a few torches, some rations, a 10-foot
50
pole.
foot of hempen rope.
Yeah, yeah. And then you were ready. It was like, wow,
Mm,
let us go down. Boom, boom, boom. But, you know, it had its faults. The wizard
Yeah.
with its first level spell, right? I cast magic missile. Poof. Okay, well that's me
Protect
done.
me. Yeah.
That's literally somebody give
If
me the torch.
if you're lucky, you get like 4 hit points. If
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
unlucky,
yeah. The cleric, no one wanted to play it because the cleric didn't do anything until someone was like very badly wounded and went,
yeah,
okay, I'll cure you. Well, that's me now done.
yeah,
They didn't have the expanse of sort of domains and anything like they have today. You know, a
mm,
cleric was a healer, and
yeah,
no one really wanted to do that because it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm awesome because I have to. It was like, no, you've got one or two spells and you heal. But Shadow Dark has that kind of feel, but they
yeah.
do it very differently, and I'll come on to that. And it's not necessarily unique ideas. They've
No,
drawn the very best of modern day games. Some of them, the old school Renaissance modern day games. So these are genuinely kind of games that are kind of trying to represent older games,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they've come up with some interesting new mechanics, and they've taken those, they've adapted them. And there's been a long play test as well. I think it's been like 3 years in development, so
Okay.
it's not like, oh yeah,
Here's some rules.
yeah, let off we go.
Have at you, and yeah.
They've definitely kind of tested stuff out, and if it hasn't quite gelled with other rules, kind of readapted them and everything
Mm,
else. And um, I think it's kind of like one of those works of art that if you just look at it and you go, well, I mean, there's not much there.
mm,
And then you look at it again, and then you begin to realize that skill, that artistry of only putting on the canvas what is needed to do that, to give it
mm,
that perfect kind of look. Um, you know, is a work of art, really. I just like the way that some of the paragraphs have been written. It's kind of like lots of things that I feel about games that are kind of condensed down to a paragraph
mm.
of advice or whatever else.
How did you find out about it? Because this is one of the
I
things
mean, it's
where
bizarre. Yeah, no, it is. It's literally bizarre. Um, I was trawling YouTube because of what we're doing now, and I do follow some of the creators,
mm,
and one of those creators, Garb Garblag Games, they do a lot of sort of live streams, and um, it's very gamery. It's people playing the games they enjoy for the reasons of enjoying the
yeah,
games.
yeah,
It's there's nothing wrong with Critical Role. It's not polished. I would say it's professional. You know,
mm,
they put together a good show. Um, but I think it was only like 2 weeks ago they did part one of an actual play of it, and I kind of went, we'll give this a watch, see what it's like, and I kind of, oh, this is
that was
new
you
then.
hooked.
Yeah. This is new then. This is what is this? And then you start doing the research, and you know, it was
Mm,
like going down a rabbit's hole, really. Um, they're very good on social media as well. I've put some hints that I might be talking about tonight on the 6 o'clock club, and I put Arcane Library into Twitter, and they very kindly retweeted it. They've got a Discord channel. They're very open to their community as well.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, it's got a lot of very good vibes about both Arcane Library. The author, um, the author is done a lot of other sort of products as well. So you know, they've done a lot. I'm trying to not spoil everything for later, otherwise I won't have anything to
no,
talk
no,
about.
no, no.
Um,
Well, I mean, you said before there is this revival at the moment of these old is it OSR, old school rules, I
yeah,
think like that.
old school Renaissance.
Yes, and I mean, you know, this we I think we've mentioned this before, but there's definitely in Sweden there's this happening at the moment.
Mm,
In fact, my wife is she's learning Swedish,
Yeah.
And she thought, oh, I'll get some Swedish role play books and translate them and get the PDFs and translate them and have a look at them and see what they are. So she was looking at one the other day, and I thought, I recognise that. It turns out she'd bought Vaesen,
Yeah.
but the original Swedish copy of Vaesen. And same with Mort Borg as well. She's got that, but
Yeah. It's
that was
very good.
after our stream. But yeah, it was so interesting that sort of these types of games are coming around. It's just, I was wondering why, not why in a horrible way, but why in a, what's triggered this? Is it things like Stranger Things where those old school rules are coming back, but people are thinking,
I don't think so. I think obviously the OGL has had a big impact in January, but I think before that, and this is indicative of most game systems that have an extended life.
yeah,
We're talking about sort of fifth ed. Is there's something in all games called power creep, which I'm sure you're aware. Um, uh, sort of they have to keep producing product, and that
yes,
product has to be better than the previous product. Otherwise, why am I buying this if it's not going to make my character better? Um, and they do it in subtle ways, certain magical items, certain spells, and it's not like this is a book that's going to break your game, but this is a book that has got one or two neat things that is going to be interesting for your characters to have that will make them better.
yeah,
You know, and if that is once or twice, it's not so bad, but over a period of what, 5, 10 years,
yeah,
suddenly there is a differentiation between um, the power levels of the characters with the power level of the setting and the system as well. Um, and that can lead to it being a challenge for GMs to run. It can also lead to the players getting a little fatigued. You know, it's
yeah,
we've discussed this. Winning all of the time, um, yeah, isn't really a huge amount of fun. It's great to be heroic, but heroic. Well, we're never going to lose. You know, when you have you know
yeah,
sort of barbarians with 120 hit points, and then they can rage, so that is technically 240 hit points. Um, it takes a lot for that character to be really concerned
yes,
about
yeah,
life and death situations. And then you know there's all sorts of mechanics now that can cause barbarians, for instance, the ancestral guardians, um,
yeah,
where when they attack or hit something, uh, if they don't attack the barbarian, then it means they have disadvantage on attacks against everybody else, and
yeah,
they have resistance as well, which is a taunt mechanic, which is
yeah,
perfectly fine. But fundamentally, it means that you know you've won that fight already.
yeah.
Um, and when you've got that amount of hit points, do you as a GM go, okay, do we want to spend the next half an hour rolling dice for what is we're going to know mathematically?
It's a war of attrition.
Yeah. I mean, is that fun?
Yeah,
Or should we say that you've won that because
yeah,
mathematically, technically, you have. Um, and then some players might go, well, that's not fair. It's fun. I mean, they've got a chance, and you kind of
yeah,
go, yeah, well, I don't mind. Let us roll some dice, and you can see that. Oh yeah, there you go. You won.
yeah,
And that grind is indicative of power creep.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And you end up having to get bigger and bigger foes as well.
yeah, yeah,
And you look at books like Fizban's Treasure of Dragons, which I absolutely love.
yeah.
Um, but then you look at the back of that, and there's some massive, colossal dragons.
Hmm.
Really ancient worms and great worms, I think they call them. And you look at the stats for that, and then you realize you've got like the stats for Bahamut and Tiamat in there, and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, where you've got some of the really high level demons from various books and multiverses. No,
Hmm.
multiverse, yeah, not Tome of Foes. Monsters of the Multiverse. That's it.
That's it.
Monsters of the Multiverse. I've got it behind me. But yeah, you have to really escalate all these foes and keep going up and keep going up. It's the Dragon Ball Z problem
Yeah.
where the main character he defeats the strongest person on Earth, and then the strongest alien, and then the next strongest alien, and then suddenly you're going to the strongest one in the galaxy and the strongest one in the universe, and then you're having this tournament across multiple universes because suddenly these are the only threats that can come up against you.
Yeah.
And it's that escalation of you keep throwing bigger and bigger things to hope to not kill your players, but to hope to challenge your players until eventually you're just like, well, we need the epic level handbook now.
Yeah. And each table has their own fun. Don't get me wrong. And
Oh yeah,
I like my collateral damage game, Friday at 18th level, and we rarely get into combat. Rarely do a lot of really grindy combats. It's very very role play orientated, and I love their characters. But that is apart from the system, as
yeah,
opposed to because of the system.
yeah.
And for me, I love fifth edition D&D. I'll carry on running it. It's not a
Mm,
problem. But your question is why is there a renaissance? And I think
yeah.
this renaissance is because of the power creep of both Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2 and Fifth Ed, because everybody knows Fifth Ed is coming to an end and something is going to replace it. One D&D, we all really believe that Wizards would be crazy not to have it backward compatible.
Mm,
So the new game that Wizards is going to release is really going to be 5.5. I'll put money on it. It's going to be a revised edition of fifth edition, as opposed to that, which doesn't actually overly account for the power creep that has happened. So people are looking for something fresh, something that they can kind of go, something they can be really thrilled with
yeah.
again. you know and they might want to just dip into it. They might want that little bit of sorbet to refresh in their mouth before they go
A
back into
palate
the
cleanser.
the massive big wedge of chocolate fudge cake, that is weighty and heavy, and
Oh, don't
but
talk about
just
cake. I'm not allowed cake. Don't talk about
so
cake.
delicious though. And it's each to their own. you know
Mm,
but you asked me why I think it, and I think people are looking for that little bit of
mm,
palate cleanser at the
yeah.
moment. And some people will stay with it, and some people will go, no, I'm going to go back to what I love.
I mean, the thing that's made me really happy at the moment is it seems like role playing is everywhere.
Mhm.
And for every sort of thing you want to do, there's so much choice out there for maybe a bit too much, but there is so much choice, and there seems to be a system for everything.
Mhm.
It feels like we're in a really
Oh
it
yeah.
feels like actually we're in a really good place as a role playing community.
Yeah.
And it's never been more welcoming, and it's never been more. And yes, there's a lot of people out there that aren't, and those are not nice people.
Mhm.
Um, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of communities that create safe spaces, and there are a lot of systems and games that are creating safe spaces for everybody, and people can role play the characters they want to role play, and they can enter these worlds and share these stories that are absolutely fantastic. And it just it feels like we've entered. It feels like we're entering a bit of more of a golden age of kind of for choice and things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I'm going to be doing a stream in a few minutes time, so I better get ready for that.
And
That's a
I
good
need to
job.
cook my wife dinner.
You do indeed. So it's been really interesting once again chatting. I hope everybody in chat has found this interesting, or if you're watching on catch up. A lot of things to think about, and I'm sure I will be sort of verbalizing my thoughts in a few minutes about Shadow Darker a little bit more, as well. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Kristian. Always a pleasure. In the meantime, have a great best of evening. If you are going to join me, I will catch you in maybe 10 minutes, if not less. Stay safe, everybody. And for people that are not aware, tomorrow night's club is the Icebreakers third anniversary. So the majority, if not all of the players, will be jumping into the club pre-game to celebrate their third year anniversary. So watch out for that as well. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. I will catch you all next time. Bye bye for now.
Bye, everyone.